He fired me on a Wednesday, smiled while he did it, said I wasn't a cultural fit. 3 days later, their largest client threatened to pull a 7-figure contract. By Monday, HR was asking where I documented the reconciliation process. By Friday, he was placed on administrative leave. I didn't plan any of it. I just stopped holding the ceiling up, and gravity did the rest. My name is Alina Voss, and I spent 3 years being invisible in all the right ways. If you've ever worked for someone who mistook your competence for compliance, hit that subscribe button. This is what happens when a narcissist fires the person who made him look good. Let's begin. I started as an operations assistant at a mid-sized consulting firm. My manager, Derek Calloway, had the kind of confidence that fills a room before he does. Expensive suits, firm handshake, TED Talk energy. In our first one-on-one, he leaned back in his chair and said, "I need someone who can execute without needing their hand held. Can you do that?" I nodded. Good. I promote people who make me look good. I should have heard the truth in that sentence. I didn't. I heard opportunity. For the first 6 months, I learned the department inside out. Client accounts, vendor workflows, compliance schedules, reconciliation audits that kept our financials clean and our certifications active. Derek was great at presentations. I was great at making sure the numbers he presented were actually correct. It worked. He'd take client meetings, deliver polished decks, close deals. I'd stay late making sure the operational backend could actually support what he'd just promised. He got promoted to senior manager. I got a coffee mug that said team player. Then the credit theft started. Small at first. I'd send him a process improvement memo, and 2 days later, he'd present it in a leadership meeting as his idea. I'd flag a compliance risk, and he'd email the VP framing it as his catch. When I built an automated reconciliation tracker that saved the department 30 hours a week, he unveiled it at the quarterly review as my latest efficiency initiative. I wasn't in the room, but people told me about it. One of the analysts pulled me aside afterward. "Elena, you built that, right?" I nodded. She frowned. "You should say something." I didn't. I told myself it didn't matter, that the work mattered, that credit was ego. I was wrong. 6 months before he fired me, Derek started changing. More volatile, more paranoid. He'd micromanage one day, ghost me the next. He began CCing HR on emails about missed deadlines that didn't exist and communication gaps I never caused. I realized what was happening. He was building a paper trail. Not because I was failing, because I knew too much. I'd become a liability instead of an asset. The moment someone who knows how everything actually works stops being useful, they become dangerous. The final straw came during a client audit prep. Our biggest account, worth about $1.2 million annually, required quarterly compliance reports that I personally maintained. Derek was supposed to review and submit them. He didn't. He forgot. The client sent a formal notice, submission overdue, contract compliance in jeopardy. I caught it, fixed it, submitted it directly to the client with an apology. Crisis averted. The client even replied thanking me by name. Derek saw that email. His jaw tightened. 2 days later, he called me into a conference room. HR was already there. "Elena, we've decided to go in a different direction. Your role is being eliminated as part of a departmental restructuring." I blinked, looked at the HR rep. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "This is effective immediately. We'll escort you out today. You'll receive 2 weeks severance." I didn't cry, didn't argue. I just asked, "Can I have an hour to document my active projects?" Derek's smile was thin. "That won't be necessary. We have everything we need." I nodded, handed over my badge, packed my desk in silence, and walked out. What Derek didn't have was understanding. He had my files, my spreadsheets, my trackers. What he didn't have was the knowledge of why they were built that way, what they prevented, and how they connected. I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't delete files or corrupt data. I just left. and the system I'd been quietly maintaining started showing cracks immediately. Day 3. The client who'd thanked me by name emailed asking for the updated Q3 compliance summary. Derek's team couldn't find it. It wasn't missing, it was in a subfolder I'd labeled by fiscal year and audit type, a structure I'd explained once in a meeting Derek didn't attend. They sent the wrong report. The client replied, confused and irritated, asking to speak to me. Derek had to admit, I no longer worked there. The client asked why. He didn't have a good answer. Day 5. An internal audit flagged a reconciliation discrepancy. My tracker had an embedded formula that auto-matched vendor invoices against payments and highlighted variances. It required manual monthly updates to a reference table I kept in a separate tab. No one knew that tab existed. The discrepancies started piling up, small at first, then not small. Day 7. Another client called, furious. A contract renewal I'd been managing had a clause requiring 60-day notice for rate changes. I'd set a calendar reminder and drafted the notice 2 weeks before I was fired. It was sitting in my drafts folder. No one sent it. The client received an invoice with new rates and no warning. They threatened to pull the contract entirely. Day 9, the department VP called an emergency meeting. I wasn't there, but I heard about it. Derek tried to explain the transition gaps, tried to say they were normal post-restructuring. The VP asked a simple question. Who's handling Elena's accounts? Silence. Because Derek had told everyone my role was redundant, that the work I did could be absorbed. Turns out you can't absorb work you don't understand. Day 12. HR opened an investigation, not into the operational failures, into Derek. Someone, probably the analyst who'd asked if I built the tracker, forwarded emails showing Derek taking credit for my work. Someone else pulled meeting notes where he'd misrepresented project ownership. The VP started asking why a redundant role was causing this much chaos. Derek's answers didn't add up. Day 14. I got a call from a recruiter. One of our competitors had heard I was available. They'd worked with me on a joint client project a year ago and remembered me. The hiring manager was direct. We need someone who actually understands operational compliance. Your old firm's falling apart. We're not. Interested? I started the following Monday. Better title, 20% raise. No Derek. Day 16. Derek was placed on administrative leave. The official reason was pending internal review. The real reason was that 3 clients had escalated complaints, 2 compliance deadlines had been missed, and the department's Q3 financials were a mess. The VP had to personally step in to salvage the largest contract. When he asked Derek directly, "How did you not know about the renewal clause?" Derek's answer was, "Elena handled that." The VP's reply, "You fired her and called her role redundant. Which is it?" I didn't hear the rest, but the analyst, who became a friend, sent me a text. "He's done. They're dismantling his whole structure. You were the structure." 3 weeks after I left, Derek was quietly exited. No severance package, no farewell email, just gone. The department was reorganized. Half his team was reassigned. The other half left on their own. I ran into the HR rep at a coffee shop months later. She looked embarrassed. "Elena, I'm sorry. I should have pushed back." I smiled. "It's fine. I'm in a better place." She nodded. "I heard. And I heard what happened after you left." She paused. "For what it's worth, we didn't know how much you were holding together until you weren't." I didn't bloat, didn't post a LinkedIn victory lap, didn't send a snarky email. I just moved on, built new systems, worked with people who valued competence over ego. But every now and then, I'd get a message from someone still at the old firm. "Everything's different now. They actually respect ops." Or, "New leadership asks questions before making promises." One person said it best. They learned the hard way that the quiet people aren't quiet because they don't matter. They're quiet because they're busy making sure everything works. Derek didn't destroy my career. He destroyed his own, because he never understood that taking credit and doing the work are not the same thing, that visibility without substance is just noise, and that firing someone to protect your ego doesn't eliminate the truth. It just removes the person who was kind enough to let you pretend. I'm still in operations, still building systems, still the person leaders don't notice until something breaks. And I'm fine with that, because I learned something important. You don't need credit to have power. You just need to be essential. And when someone mistakes your quiet competence for weakness, the kindest thing you can do is let them find out the difference on their own. Turns out, you can steal credit, but you can't steal competence. And eventually, people notice. So here's my question for you. Have you ever watched someone take credit for your work and then crash without you there to catch them? Share your story in the comments. I read everyone. If this felt like justice delivered by gravity, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where the quiet ones win and competence always outlasts ego. I'm Alina, and I'll see you in the next one.